Hello and welcome to Virtual Coast Fest 2020. I am Matthew Andrews, a 4th grader at St. Francis Xavier Catholic School. Here in our studios today, I am joined by Eddie and Michael. And today we are exploring research vessel Anna.
Thank you, Matthew. I'm Eddie Leonard, a biologist with the Coastal Resources Division. I've been here for about 6.5 years, and part of my job is lead biologist aboard the RV Anna.
And I'm Michael Mock, a marine technician with the Coastal Resources Division, and I've been here for 7 years. I work with Eddie on the Anna, and we'd like to show you a short video about what we do every day here for DNR. We'll be back to answer your questions via YouTube and Facebook afterwards.
Welcome aboard the research vessel Anna. This 60-foot shrimping vessel was purchased by the Georgia Department of Natural Resources in 1968. And for more than 50 years has provided information about the health of fish populations. These data are key to properly managing Georgia's shrimp populations. Fisheries management is one of the tasks carried out by the Coastal Resources Division of DNR. Each month, the ANNA surveys 36 sites along the Georgia coast. At every site, a 40-foot net called an otter trawl is pulled behind the boat for 15 minutes. The net sinks to the bottom where 2 wooden structures called doors pull the net open. A tickle chain at the mouth of the net rattles along the bottom, stirring up marine life that then become caught in the net. GPS is used to pinpoint the sites and return to the same location each time. This is important because CRD biologists need to have accurate data that can be compared against itself over and over again. Once the net has been towed for 15 minutes, it is reeled back aboard using a mechanical winch. The end of the net is cinched with a rope, and the boat's crew can empty the catch over a special table called a culling table. The catch is released onto the table, and biologists sort everything by species. Most of the shrimp found along Georgia's coast are pinnate shrimp, which include white, brown, or pink shrimp. Most of the shrimp commercially caught in Georgia are whites and browns. Over the past 10 years, commercial shrimpers have brought in an annual average of more than 2 million pounds of shrimp, with a yearly dockside value of about $9.2 million. As shrimp grow up or mature, they begin to move offshore, where commercial fishermen catch them in nets similar to the Annas. To take better measures of the reproductive cycle of shrimp, biologists survey 6 sound systems across Georgia's coast: Wausau, Ossabaw, Sapelo, St. Simon, St. Andrew, and Cumberland. In each of these systems, crews conduct trawls in 2 sites in rivers or creeks, 2 sites within the main part of the sound, and 2 sites offshore or near beaches. This helps give a better understanding of how many shrimp are in the area and at what stage of their life cycle they are in. When a net is emptied on the Anna's culling table, biologists count each of the shrimp, measure their lengths, and determine if they are male or female. One benchmark for shrimp used by commercial fishery regulators is called head count. This refers to how many shrimp it takes to make 1 pound. The more shrimp it takes, the smaller the shrimp will be. For example, if it takes 30 shrimp to make 1 pound, the shrimp weigh, on average, about ½ an ounce each. If it only takes 16 shrimp to make 1 pound, each shrimp weighs 1 full ounce. The average shrimp head count must be 45 or fewer for shrimping season to open. Similarly, the Commissioner of Natural Resources can close the shrimp season when shrimp head counts are 50 or more. The Commissioner can open shrimping season as early as May 15th and close it by December 31st. However, the season can be extended through January or February if the head count remains below 50. Although the Anna has been a trusty servant of the state of Georgia for more than 50 years, she is slated to be replaced in late 2020. A new boat, christened the research vessel Reed W. Harris on June 26, 2020, and named for the author of the Coastal Marshlands Protection Act, will replace the Anna. The Harris is a 54-foot custom-built vessel that displaces 65,000 pounds. The Harris is expected to begin operations in the coming months. We hope you've enjoyed learning about CRD's work to conserve and protect Georgia's shrimping industry, and look forward to seeing you at Coast Fest 2021.
Alright, welcome back to Coast Fest Studio. Eddie and Mitchell are ready to take any questions you may have about their program. To ask a question, that can use the chat feature on YouTube Live or comment on our live Facebook feed. To use the YouTube Live chat, you'll need to sign in as a user and set up your YouTube channel. You can find the directions at www.coastalgadnr.org/coastfest. While we wait on questions to come in, I'm going to go ahead and get started with a few of my own. Does the crew stay on the Anna overnight?
Yes, we do. We do a trip to Savannah when we do Sapelo, Ossabaw, and Wausau Sounds. And so we'll stay on the boat overnight at Isle of Hope and in Richmond Hill. And, sorry.
We actually have a galley or a kitchen on the vessel too, so we can cook, we can make meals. We have a table we eat at and a restroom facility called a head. And so it's a very comfortable vessel to spend an overnight or two on. So yeah, we do actually sleep on the boat. There's 7 beds or berths as they're called on a boat, but we do stay on it overnight. 1 night in the summer and 2 nights in the winter.
Will the Anna's crew transfer to the new vessel?
Yes, so everyone who works on the Anna now will transfer over to work aboard the RV Reed W. Harris as soon as that vessel goes into full operation, which should be hopefully before the end of this year.
How is the data collected on the Anna used?
Oh, there's a variety of different ways the data are used. Primarily, we collect shrimp data, which is then presented to our shrimp advisory panel, which makes recommendations to the commissioner of DNR about when and whether to open or close the commercial food shrimp season. So that's the primary use for it. Then there's also what we call bycatch data, which are all the other fish and critters that we catch besides shrimp and crabs. And there are a lot of different people use that data from different universities and organizations can request the data from us, and we will send them whatever data they ask for. Oh, I'm sorry. We got a question coming in online. So Allie Lancaster asks, do you have your new boat yet? Yes, we do. The new vessel, the RV Reed W. Harris, is here, and she's tied up at the dock, and we are awaiting an assessment of the characteristics of how that vessel pulls the net to make sure that we're being consistent between the old vessel and the new vessel. And as soon as that assessment is done, we'll actually put that boat into service. But it is here, and it's tied up at our dock right now, and she is a beauty. We're very, very fortunate to have that vessel. Another question here from Jonathan Watkins. How many shrimp do you catch when you go out to get the data? That varies a lot. So the net is pulled for 15 minutes at a time, and in each 15-minute drag, we can get anywhere from 0 shrimp to this past week, just Monday, we did one drag where we got about 30 pounds of shrimp. So it varies a lot. In some cases, very few. In some cases, a lot. And they vary a lot in size depending on where we're dragging the net. So we have another question here from Leslie Jones. How does the shrimp move? They have little legs. Yeah, they do have little legs. They actually have a couple of different ways that they move. They have legs on their abdomen up towards the front of their body, what most people identify as the head of the shrimp. And so their long legs, they can propel themselves that way. They also have these structures called swimmerettes that are on the bottom side of their tail, and those sort of ripple through the water and they can propel themselves that way. And then if they're threatened, if they need to move fast, they take their tail and fan their tail out and pull their tail briskly up underneath themselves, and it will launch them backwards through the water to escape a predator, which is the main reason for the large muscular tail on shrimp, which is the part of the shrimp that most folks eat. What's next?
Any other questions?
Online?
Yep.
Okay, this is from St. Francis Xavier. How how long are you on the water during the day? So we sample 6 different sound systems, and depending on how far away from our headquarters that the sound system that we're sampling that day is determines how long we're on the water. So if we're sampling Cumberland Sound, we will be on the water for about 10 hours that day. And then the first day of our north trip, when we do Sapelo, that day is about 14 hours. So we actually start off before 5 a.m. and we're usually not finished until after 7 or 8 in the evening. We really have to maximize our daylight time. So we pack as much as we can into a day. The highest number of drags we do in a day is about 10. We could do more than that on some cases, but most of the time it's about 10. And another question from Leslie Jones, another question for the class. Why are the shrimp orange in color? Well, that's a very good question, and I say it's a good question for a couple of reasons. One is a lot of times people will use color to try to identify aquatic organisms, shrimp, fish, a variety of things. And color is not a very dependable way to identify anything. So the shrimp can change a lot in color. There are times when the whole bottom of the shrimp will actually turn red, and a lot of folks say that's when the shrimp are actually migrating or moving. They change color depending on the substrate that they're over. If they're over a darker substrate or a darker water, their color will darken to make them easier. They hide easier. When they're cooked, they tend to have a little brownish color. When they're cooked, they can turn pink, and part of the reason for that pink color is because of the pigments that they naturally have in them break down, and the color that's left over is that pink color you see after they're cooked. But naturally, they tend to be somewhere between white and brown. And all right, we have another question from Annie Lancaster. Let's see. We're wondering where you take the shrimp you catch. Also, what do you do if you catch other sea creatures you don't need? Well, we measure and weigh everything that comes to the vessel. So anything that's in the net that comes aboard the boat, we measure it, we weigh it, and we catalog it, and then we put it back in the water. The shrimp, if we catch a large number of shrimp that are not going to survive the process, then we often will donate them to a variety of non-governmental organizations like food service places or that feed the needy or homeless shelters and things of that nature. If there's anything that can survive the process, we will release it. Another question from St. Francis Xavier. It's your home turf, right? All right. One of the places we get a lot is down near Cumberland Island. And they tend to congregate sometimes in deep holes, so just about anywhere you find a deeper hole that is probably a good spot. And it depends on what time of year it is, because the shrimp, they're spawned just offshore, and then they move up into the creeks and rivers, and then they actually grow about an inch a month, if you can believe that. They grow an inch a month, and as they grow, they move back towards the sound. And so, depending on the time of year, if you're trying to catch shrimp in the fall, a good place to try in the fall would be up inside the sounds closer to the creeks, and then towards later in the year out towards the beaches. And of course, at the beginning of the season in the spring, the beaches are a good bet because they're all gathering up to spawn out there. So it depends. There's not really any secret holes, but certainly deeper spots or places where there's water coming together from one creek to another, those are always pretty good bets. Then we have another question here from Jamie Flantos. How can you tell if a shrimp is male or female? Another very good question. So I talked a little bit earlier about the swimmerettes, which are the little tiny legs on the bottom of a shrimp's tail. In a male shrimp, those first 2 swimmerettes will be fused together in a little structure we call a clasper, and it's basically a little web basket that it uses when they're actually spawning. And that little basket, it starts to form when they're very, very little. So even a tiny juvenile male shrimp will have those little appendages on their front swimmerettes. So that's the way we tell the males from the female, and you can tell them as soon as you're able to see those first two swimmerettes, you can tell if it's a male or a female. So another question, Jonathan Watkins, how do you get started doing this job? That's a good question. How did you get started, Michael?
I went to College of Coastal Georgia here in Brunswick and studied coastal ecology and got a bachelor's degree in biology. I came in here, I guess, in 2013 and did an internship, which turned into an hourly position, which turned into a full-time position. So learning everything you can about the subject as far as experience is the best way to go.
I had a similar experience. I went to Kennesaw State University in Metro Atlanta. I was there for a year, and then I left there and joined the military. I was in the Army for 4 years, and then I went back to Kennesaw State, finished my undergraduate degree there in biology, just as Michael did. And then I went to graduate school at University of Florida. You like University of Florida, right? So I went to the University of Florida and got a master's degree, and I would echo Michael in saying that the best way to get into the position is to get some experience. And what I like to tell people is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but reality is to know how to do something. A lot of people, you can get the education. The education is critical, but it's also important to know how to do things like maybe drive a boat, operate a boat on a truck and trailer. One good thing to do is start off, just go fishing. Just get a rod and reel and go fishing and learn as much as you can about the resource. So those are all good ways to get started. We have a question from Courtney Williams. What is your favorite part of doing your job? My favorite part of doing my job, it might surprise some people who know that I am not a morning person, but one of my favorite parts of doing my job is sitting on the deck of the Anna when we leave the dock early in the morning and watch the sun come up. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the job. Michael?
My favorite part is you never know what we're going to pull up in the net, and it's a changing experience every time. Nothing gets stagnant. That we never know what we're going to catch from time to time. So it's very exciting.
Another question from Allie Lancaster. Let's see, question from the class. Did your data change once the boat in the St. Simon Sound tipped? If so, how? So no, it did not, actually. We've been watching that very closely, and aboard the RV Anna, we never encountered any oily substances or debris or anything that might have come from that vessel. And as far as we can tell so far, our catches haven't changed since before or after that vessel actually overturned. So the short answer to your question is no. From what we've seen so far, we haven't seen any change. St. Francis Xavier has another question. How far do you go from shore? What is the largest shrimp you've ever caught? How far we go from shore, the farthest we go out is probably Cumberland's probably about 2 miles, 2.5 miles.
Yep.
So the state waters end at 3 miles from shore. So we don't go any farther than 3 miles. And the closest we get to that limit's about 2.5 miles. What's the largest shrimp you've ever seen, Michael?
I'd say we catch them 170 millimeters.
170 millimeters, which is it's about like that for a white shrimp. The biggest shrimp species that I've ever seen is a tiger shrimp, which is not a native critter to this area, and we've caught them that big. They're gigantic, but they're actually from Asia, and they don't really belong here, but we do catch them occasionally. Jonathan Watkins has a question. How do you determine the price per pound of shrimp? Well, the short answer is we don't determine it. The market determines that, and it just depends on what the demand and supply are. It's really a demand and supply driven industry. So early in the season, the shrimp are more abundant than they are later in the season. So sometimes you'll see the prices shift according to that. Leslie Jones has a question. Do the shrimp sleep? I don't know if you could call it sleep, but they certainly would have a more dormant period where they'll sort of stay still, like most fishes do. They'll sort of stay in one place overnight. They tend not to move as much at night, but I don't know if you could actually call it sleep, but maybe rest. You want to take that one, Michael?
Sure. St. Francis Xavier, what else do you catch in your drag net? We catch all sorts of fishes, crabs, all sorts of other invertebrates. We probably, on a typical drag, will catch, I'd say, 15 to 20 different species of fish and different shrimp. And we catch a lot of small juvenile sharks. We catch jellyfish from time to time. And it's kind of a mixed bag. Every single drag, we're not sure what we're going to get.
Yeah, we catch a lot of stingrays,
Yeah.
a lot of Atlantic croaker, a lot of what we call star drum, a lot of star drum. We occasionally will catch starfish, sand dollars, just about anything you can imagine we catch. We sometimes will catch stingrays so large that we can't fit them on our table and we have to just work with them on the deck of the boat. They'll be 4 or 5 feet across, so sometimes we catch some gigantic stingrays. But all right, Matthew, you got a question for us?
Yeah. How big is the biggest flounder you've caught?
Flounder? I don't know. What's the biggest flounder we've caught?
I believe about 20 inches would be,
Yeah,
or 18 to 20 inches.
pretty good size, about like that maybe. Pretty good size flounder. You want to go to this? Okay. Allie Lancaster again. How tall is the beam on the new boat? Well, the beam is the measurement of the width of the boat. So the new boat is, if I understand your question, if that's what you mean, beam is a reference to the width of the boat. That boat is 18 feet wide, almost the same width as the Anna, but she's shorter than the Anna. The Anna is 60 feet, the new vessel is 54 feet. But you couldn't tell it by standing on the deck because there's an awful lot of deck space on that new boat. But the beam is actually the width of the vessel, and it's about 18 feet.
And that's all the time we have for this session of Virtual Coast Fest. We hope you've enjoyed learning about the Coastal Resources Division mission. Tune in next time.